Hello, everyone. Well, the numbers are in, the damage has been assessed, and as of right now, after Russia destroying Kharkiv power plant, Ukraine is only able to meet 60% of electricity demand nationwide. So, what that means is that either people are going to sit without power altogether, or there's going to be rolling blackouts, a kind of timetable during which electricity is on. People can quickly do whatever it is they need to do, and then it shuts back off. Again, any of you who have ever been in a massive power outage, like during a hurricane, during a massive snowstorm, during a massive damage or some type of repair needed at your either power station or your local distribution station. Now imagine that for days and weeks in freezing temperatures. Particularly for those of you who are saying, well, it's Ukrainians' own fault. You think people deserve this? You're okay with this? Yeah, you think on that. So obviously, the attacks on civilian infrastructure had emphasized the need for more air defenses. And we've talked about air defenses many times. So there's the Patriots. We have some Patriots, but again, Patriots don't just magically operate. In addition to people who have to be trained to use them, Patriots also need ammo. It's a weapon. You need something to shoot. And Ukraine has been begging the US to please send more ammo, and right now that is just, it's like pulling teeth, only worse. So the Czech Republic is stepping in with the offer of drone hunting jets. And that is really cool. Again, Czech Republic, let's not forget, also has its own tragic history with Russia, with the former Soviet Union. So once again, they know where Ukrainians are coming from. They understand. And so right now they have 24 one- and two-seater jets that are currently used for training and support for the ground forces. Those can be armed with missiles and machine gun pods and basically used in Ukraine to hunt drones. And as I mentioned in the past, and as we've read in the article a couple of weeks ago, where Australians were talking about the constantly changing situation with the different types of drones, different types of new weapons, it's not going to be just one thing. Because I remember last year, folks were saying, well, Ukraine gets F-16s and that's it for Russia. No, it doesn't work like that. There is no one fix. No, it's just not. Because look at all the different types of weapons Russia is using, and theirs are evolving too. They're using hundreds of drones. They're using dozens of different types of missiles, plus the glide bombs, plus regular bombs. So for that reason, every one of those types of weapons requires its own types of defense. So in addition to these drone hunting jets, what else do we have? Well, like I said, we have Patriots. We have drone jamming, which has been incredibly successful. That is where you jam the drone frequency, and basically it renders the drone deaf, mute, and blind. It doesn't know where it is. It doesn't know where it's going. Some of the drones, as the result, self-destruct. Some of them basically just land where they are, and some of them go back where they came from. So that helps. Every little bit helps. But air defense is a problem because that is the only thing that is standing between Ukrainian civilians and Russian drones, missiles, and bombs. And Russia is not stopping. Once again, to all of those who are saying, well, it's Russia who wants peace. If Russia wants peace, why is it killing civilians? Because you cannot sit there and tell me that every single apartment building, hospital, maternity ward, kindergarten, school, and playground was some type of military target. So there's a constant conversation about the security guarantees. And again, it's the on again, off again with the U.S. There's some expectations for the next week's World Economic Forum in Davos, but we'll see. And once again, there's going to be a meeting between U.S. and Ukraine officials in Miami. And again, I think it's a mistake. I think it should be happening on Ukrainian territory because there is no way U.S. officials can continue talking about Ukraine in any sort of qualified way unless they go and experience for themselves what the fuck is going on there. And to reiterate, following another poll yesterday, and again, it's one of many because the one I quoted yesterday included only 600 people. But remember, these polls are taking place all over the country pretty much on a regular basis. You can't say that the government is acting without the consent of the people. And the people have spoken very clearly. Majority of Ukrainians strongly oppose withdrawing troops from the remainder of the Donetsk region. More than half of the Ukrainian absolutely rejected the idea. 39% were reluctantly accepting of it, but only in exchange for serious, substantial security guarantees. Now, again, this is interesting. 70% do not believe that current negotiations would lead to a lasting peace. 57% believe Russia would attack again if there was a ceasefire. 40% believe that the U.S. would not provide support in the event of Russian invasion being renewed. What does that tell you, U.S., about your current position in the world stage as an ally? Because people in Ukraine have lost all faith in you, and you were supposed to be an ally. Now, this is interesting. On Friday, yesterday, Russia and Ukraine agreed to a very localized ceasefire to allow repairs on the backup power line at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. So, what does that tell you? First of all, remember, Russia wants Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant for itself. It wants to keep it, even though it is located deep in the Zaporizhzhia region territory. So, they agree, okay, Ukrainian suckers, go fix it for us so it doesn't blow up and cause radioactive fallout so that we can take it from you later. So, when you look at this, and when you say, oh, look, Russians agreed to a ceasefire, look at the situation. Look at their motives. Their motive has nothing to do with goodwill or charity or consideration for civilians. No, this is an asset. They want it. So, as much as possible, they want it functional, repaired, and preferably not blowing up. That is the reason that is driving Russia's agreement to a ceasefire right now. More to come.